Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into a really big milestone, kindergarten.
It really is. More than just the ABCs, it's that first major step into structured learning.
Yeah, exactly. And for our listeners, whether you're a parent, a teacher, maybe just interested in child development, we've dug into this document, 56kindergarten.pdf.
Mhm.
And our mission really is to pull out the key stuff, the developmental insights, the support strategies, basically a shortcut to understanding this crucial stage.
Right. We want to give you the core understanding of what's actually happening in kindergarten beyond just academics.
And what really jumped out at me from the source material is this idea that kindergarten isn't primarily about mastering content. It's more foundational.
It really is. It's about learning how to learn.
Yes. Things like perseverance, sticking with something tricky.
And, taking turns, following routines, those group skills are huge.
Absolutely. And learning from mistakes without feeling ashamed. That's a big one. The document mentions praising the process, right? Like saying, you kept trying.
Exactly. That's much more powerful than just good job.
Yeah.
It builds that growth mindset we hear so much about. It teaches persistence matters.
Okay, so let's talk about the kids themselves. 5 and 6 years old.
Yeah.
There are some massive cognitive leaps happening.
Oh, definitely. Symbolic thinking is really emerging.
What does that actually look like?
Well, it's understanding that letters aren't just squiggles. They represent sounds.
Hmm.
Or that the number 3 actually means 3 things.
Right, the connection between symbol and meaning. That's fundamental for reading and math.
Totally. And they're learning to do this in a group setting, too. Taking turns, participating. It's complex.
And as they navigate this, their idea of themselves as learners starts forming, doesn't it?
Yeah, you start hearing things like, I'm good at drawing, or maybe reading is hard for me. These self-concepts begin early.
And their sense of right and wrong is developing too, but this document it's often quite black and white at this stage.
Very concrete. Fairness is often super literal for them.
Good to keep in mind. And expectations around attention span. What's typical?
You're looking at maybe 10 to 15 minutes for focused attention, which isn't very long.
No. Which leads to another important point the document makes. Just because they can talk like little adults doesn't mean they have the emotional regulation skills to match.
That's such a critical distinction. High verbal skills don't equal high emotional maturity. They still need help managing big feelings.
Right. They might sound grown-up asking for something, but handling disappointment. Still very much a work in progress.
Absolutely. And that sometimes explains that after-school restraint collapse phenomenon.
Yes, where they hold it together all day at school.
And then completely fall apart when they get home, where they feel safe. It's normal decompression, not necessarily bad parenting.
That's reassuring. The document also touches on some potential gender differences in development. Gently, of course.
Yeah, mentions general trends like girls sometimes showing earlier strengths in language or fine motor skills, boys sometimes having more physical energy or later fine motor development.
Key word being sometimes.
Exactly. These are just possibilities, not set rules. The main takeaway is to focus on the individual child's readiness, especially with things like writing or sitting still, rather than rigid expectations.
Okay, so considering all that developmental context, what are the core academic themes they usually cover?
Well, in reading, it's things like letter recognition, phonics linking sounds to letters, learning common sight words, rhyming, and understanding simple stories.
And writing.
Starting with their name, forming letters, maybe simple sentences, and using drawings to communicate ideas is big too.
Makes sense. Math.
Counting, often up to 100. But really focusing on number sense, understanding what numbers mean, comparing amounts, basic adding and subtracting concepts, finding patterns.
What do you mean by number sense exactly?
It's more than just reciting numbers. It's like intuitively knowing 5 is bigger than 2, or seeing 3 dots and knowing it's 3 without counting. That gut feeling for numbers.
Got it. And science.
Usually exploring through the 5 senses, learning about seasons, animals, weather, simple cause and effect too.
Social studies seems focused on their immediate world.
Yeah, community helpers, classroom rules and roles, holidays, and that big question of identity, who am I?
And woven through all of this is social emotional learning, SEL.
Absolutely critical. Turn-taking, resolving little conflicts, managing feelings, asking for help, sharing all those social skills.
But the document makes this great point that the real curriculum, maybe the most important one, is learning how to be in a classroom. Listening, sharing space and attention, trying things, failing sometimes and trying again.
I said exactly. Navigating that whole environment is the hidden curriculum, and it's huge.
So how can caregivers support all this learning at home? Routines seem key.
Oh, definitely. Consistent wake-up and bedtimes, knowing what to expect.
Yep.
It creates security. And that downtime after school is crucial.
Just letting them play and decompress.
Yes, before jumping into anything else. And simple things, like packing a lunch they can actually open themselves, builds independence.
Good practical tip. And for academic support, it doesn't need to be intense, right?
Not at all. Reading together daily is massive. Asking questions about the story, having them retell it.
Builds comprehension.
Exactly. And playing with letters sounds casually. Finding things that start with B. Counting games with snacks or blocks. Keep it light and fun.
What about those fine motor skills for writing? The document calls them fine motor boosters.
Yeah, things like coloring, cutting with safety scissors, gluing, stringing beads, peeling stickers.
Even zipping coats or pouring their own juice.
Yes, all those little hand movements build strength and coordination needed for writing.
Okay, and then there's executive function starting to emerge. Things like following multi-step directions, planning.
Right, those skills are just budding. So patience is key. Games like Simon Says are great for attention and following instructions. Memory games too.
And asking what comes next. In a routine, maybe.
Perfect. Gets them thinking ahead.
We absolutely have to talk about pretend play. Even with school starting, it's still vital, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely essential. It's how they process everything, social situations, emotions, stress. It's cognitive work.
So it's not just fluff.
Not at all. It's serious learning. You can even use it intentionally, like playing store or doctor to teach concepts. But often, the best thing is just to let them lead.
Let them be in charge of the play, because play is learning for them.
It truly is.
Yeah.
And alongside that, their emotional intelligence is developing, building that feelings vocabulary.
Using books to talk about characters' feelings seems like a good way in.
Definitely. And helping them understand the difference between feeling mad and acting mad by hitting, for example.
Right, feelings are okay, certain actions aren't, and maybe teaching simple coping tools.
Yes, like taking deep breaths, squeezing a stress ball, asking for space, concrete things they can actually do when feeling overwhelmed.
No, kindergarten friendships can be intense.
Yeah, yes. Fast, intense, sometimes fragile. You hear those big statements, "You're not my friend anymore."
Which sounds awful, but the document suggests it's often about what? Expressing anger they can't verbalize yet?
Often, yeah.
Yeah.
Or trying to figure out social rules, testing boundaries. It's all practice.
And the flip side, she's my best friend forever. That intense connection.
Right. The advice is really to guide them with empathy, help them understand perspectives, rather than just punishing. It's social learning in action.
Okay, what about extracurriculars? So many options out there. What's the guidance?
Keep it simple. That's the main message. Maybe one activity.
One, okay.
Yeah, low stakes, maybe 30, 45 minutes a week. Focus on fun and exploring, not pressure or competition.
And make sure there's still plenty of room for.
Rest, family time, unstructured play. Evenings are for winding down, not rushing to another activity.
So don't stress about them becoming like a soccer star at age 5.
Please don't. It's more about learning to be part of a group activity at this stage.
Which brings us to the caregiver's role. The document has a nice phrase, letting go with intention.
Yes, it's a shift. Your child is entering this new structured world. Your role changes a bit.
And the main job becomes?
Modeling calm, being that reassuring presence, especially after a potentially overwhelming school day, and really celebrating the effort, the trying.
Not just the perfect drawing or the right answer.
Exactly. They need partnership, not pressure.
The document also acknowledges this can stir up feelings for caregivers, right? Guilt, frustration.
It's okay to feel those things. It's a big transition for everyone.
Yeah.
The key is being present and supportive, not perfect.
Good reminder. What about homework? Is that a big thing in kindergarten?
Usually not. Most schools either don't assign nightly homework or it's very short practice like reading together or tracing letters, maybe small projects like show and tell.
Okay. And if there is homework?
Keep a simple routine, snack, play, then maybe 10, 15 minutes of the task and let them do it.
Even if it's messy or not quite right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Resist the urge to fix it. Ask guiding questions instead, like what's your plan here or what part are you working on now?
Because they're learning the process, not just the outcome. And they're also learning all those school systems.
Huge point. Navigating the cafeteria, lining up, transitions between activities, asking the teacher for help. That's major learning too.
So maybe practicing some of that at home could help, like packing a backpack.
Absolutely. Rehearsing those routines builds confidence. Repetition is really important.
How about grades or report cards?
It varies. Some schools use them, some use narrative notes. But the crucial thing for caregivers to remember,
Is that kindergarten grades don't define a child's future.
exactly, focus on their confidence, their curiosity, their growth, their enjoyment of learning. That's what matters.
Okay, but what if a child is struggling? What are some signs?
Well, extreme fatigue could mean overstimulation. Maybe they need more quiet downtime after school.
Frequent crying or withdrawing?
Could point to social or emotional difficulties. Time to talk with the teacher and create that safe space at home.
What if they avoid schoolwork?
Might be feeling inadequate. Normalize that trying is okay, offer support, but don't just take over the task.
And the classic inability to sit still or focus?
Very common. Break tasks down, allow for movement breaks, be patient. Struggle is part of learning, not failure.
Definitely. There's also that interesting phenomenon, the kindergarten personality split.
Ah, yes. Where they're like a perfect angel at school and then have huge meltdowns at home.
Or super quiet at school and really loud and boisterous at home.
Right. The document calls it adaptive resilience. Home is safe, so that's where all the pent-up feelings or energy comes out. It's not deception.
That's a helpful way to frame it. And finally, what about interpreting what kids say? Sometimes it's not literal.
So true. I hate school. I just mean I'm tired or something tricky happened today.
I'm dumb, could mean.
I feel insecure because I couldn't do that puzzle.
Everyone is better than me.
Often means I'm comparing myself and I don't know how to feel better about it yet.
And I don't want to go.
Could signal some underlying social or emotional struggle they can't quite name. The advice is stay calm, get curious, validate the feeling. It sounds like you had a tough day. And definitely loop in the teacher if it's a pattern.
Great insights. The document also ends with some reflection prompts for caregivers.
Yeah, really good ones like, am I focusing on who my child is, not just what they achieve? What routines help us feel grounded? Am I modeling the balance I want for them?
How can I support their curiosity without, hovering?
Powerful questions to sit with.
So wrapping this up, kindergarten is clearly foundational. It's learning how to learn, how to be part of a group, how to see yourself as capable.
And supporting them holistically, emotionally, socially, cognitively is just so important. It's not only about the academics.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought for our listeners. Think about that balance between structure and letting your child's learning journey naturally unfold. Is there one small shift, maybe in perspective or routine, that could make this kindergarten year even more supportive and, frankly, joyful for everyone involved?
A wonderful question to end on.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.